the silence that shook the stars. The first warning signs, the observation deck of Sentinel Station floated in the darkness between star systems, its sensors constantly monitoring the communications networks of 1,000 worlds. Officer Kelrith had worked the night shift for 15 years, and in all that time, nothing unusual had ever happened. The galaxy was predictable, orderly, and above all noisy. Every species broadcast their existence across the stars through endless streams of data, messages, and signals. That changed at 0347 station time. Kelrith was reviewing routine traffic reports when her primary monitor flickered. She glanced up, expecting a minor system glitch. Instead, she watched as an entire section of her display went dark. Not just one channel, but hundreds of them, thousands of them, all originating from the same region of space, the human territories. Her four hands moved quickly across the control panel, running diagnostic checks. The equipment was functioning perfectly. The problem was not with Sentinel Station. The problem was that humanity had simply stopped talking. Every single human world, station, colony, and ship had gone completely silent in the same instant. Kelrith felt her skin prickle with unease. She had monitored human communications for years. Humans were the loudest species in the known galaxy. They broadcast everything: personal messages, entertainment programs, scientific data, commercial advertisements, even their arguments and complaints. Human space was a constant storm of radio waves, quantum signals, and data streams. For all of it to vanish at once was impossible. She checked again, expanding her search parameters: Mars colony, Europa station, the Titan mining operations, the massive shipyards orbiting Proxima Centauri, the research outposts scattered across dozens of star systems. Every installation showed the same status: active power signatures, functional systems, but zero communications. 42 billion humans had gone silent in a single moment. Kelrith activated the emergency protocols. Within minutes, alarms were sounding throughout Sentinel Station. Within an hour, every major government in the galaxy had been notified. Within 3 hours, the Galactic Council had called an emergency session. The Council's emergency assembly, the Council chamber on Unity World, had hosted debates and discussions for 300 years, but it had never been filled with such tension. Ambassador Vrenix of the Corthan Collective stood at the central podium, his crystalline form refracting the chamber lights into rainbow patterns across the walls. Around him, representatives from 47 different species waited for answers. Vrenix raised one translucent appendage for silence. The chamber quieted, though worried murmurs continued in a dozen different languages. "We face an unprecedented situation," Vrenix began, his voice amplified through translation devices. "As of 347 this morning, all human communications ceased simultaneously across every known human settlement. We have confirmed this is not a technical failure on our end. The silence is real." Representative Zolmar of the Threndix Empire rose from his seat, his scaled face twisted with concern. "How is such a thing possible? The humans have colonies on 87 worlds. They operate thousands of ships. Their communication network is the most extensive in the galaxy." "We do not know," Vrenix admitted, "but we must consider several possibilities. Perhaps they experienced a cascade system failure. Perhaps they faced some internal crisis that required a complete communication shutdown. Or perhaps—" He did not finish the sentence, but everyone in the chamber understood. Perhaps something had happened to humanity. Something terrible. Counselor Myrix, a floating being composed of energy fields, spoke through her translator. "The humans have been our allies for 60 years. They helped us establish the trade routes through the nebula sector. They shared their medical technology freely. We cannot simply abandon them without investigation." "No one is suggesting abandonment," Vrenix replied, "but we must approach this carefully. We need facts, not speculation. I propose we send a reconnaissance mission to Earth itself. A small team, well-equipped, with orders to report back immediately." The debate lasted another 2 hours. Some representatives argued for immediate military intervention. Others suggested waiting for the humans to re-establish contact on their own. A few whispered that perhaps humanity had chosen isolation for reasons the galaxy could not understand. Finally, the Council voted. A reconnaissance mission would be authorized, led by someone with experience in first contact situations and crisis management. Commander Thane of the Verdanian Exploration Corps volunteered immediately. She was a veteran of 30 years, someone who had mapped uncharted systems and negotiated with hostile species. If anyone could discover the truth, it was her. Her ship, the Stellar Dawn, was prepared within 8 hours. The journey to Earth would take 5 days through faster-than-light transit. Those 5 days felt endless to everyone waiting at Sentinel Station. Kelrith remained at her post, watching the silent channels, hoping desperately for even a single transmission. None came. Journey to the Silent World, Commander. Thane stood on the bridge of the Stellar Dawn as her ship emerged from FTL at the edge of the Sol system. Her crew of 12 represented 6 different species, all experts in their fields. Lieutenant Vex, her tactical officer, was already analyzing the sensor data with his multiple eye stalks. "Commander, I am detecting power signatures throughout the system," Vex reported, his voice carrying notes of confusion. "All major installations appear operational. Satellites are in orbit. Stations are powered. Ships are docked at their designated ports, but I am reading 0 life signs. None at all." Thane felt her twin hearts beat faster. "Expand the scan. Check every planet, every moon, every station." The crew worked in tense silence as the sensors swept across the solar system. Mercury's solar collectors were active. Venus's atmospheric processors were running. Mars showed dozens of settlements with lights on and systems functioning. The asteroid belt mining operations were all operational. Jupiter's moons had active research stations. Saturn's rings contained working refineries. Everything looked normal. Everything except the complete absence of human life. "Take us to Earth," Thane ordered quietly. As they approached humanity's homeworld, the strangeness of the situation became even more pronounced. Earth appeared perfect from orbit. Blue oceans sparkled in the sunlight. Green and brown continents stretched across the surface. White clouds swirled in familiar patterns. The night side glittered with millions of city lights. Weather satellites transmitted their automated data streams. Communications satellites maintained their orbits, but there were no humans. The Stellar Dawn descended toward Tokyo, one of Earth's largest cities. Through the observation ports, the crew could see streets filled with vehicles parked in neat rows, buildings with lights glowing in their windows, advertising screens still playing their endless loops. Parks showed maintenance robots trimming grass and watering flowers. Traffic signals changed colors for intersections that held no traffic. Thane led a landing party into the city. They walked through streets that should have been crowded with millions of people. Instead, they found only eerie stillness. The city was alive with automation but dead of population. In a restaurant, they discovered tables set with meals that had long since spoiled. In an office building, they found desks covered with personal items, computers still running their programs, coffee cups sitting beside keyboards. In a residential building, they explored apartments that looked lived in, with clothes in closets, food in refrigerators, and pictures on walls. "It is as if they all simply vanished," whispered Ensign Coral, a young Zalatian on her first deep space mission. In the middle of their daily lives, all at once, they spent 3 days exploring Earth. New York, London, Mumbai, Beijing, Lagos, São Paulo. Every city told the same impossible story. Humanity had disappeared without a trace, leaving behind a world that continued to function as if nothing had happened. On the 3rd night, Thane stood on the observation deck of a skyscraper in New York, looking out over the empty city. Central Park stretched below, its trees swaying in the evening breeze. Automated systems kept the streetlights glowing. Somewhere in the distance, she could hear the hum of maintenance drones performing their programmed tasks. "Commander," Lieutenant Vex called through her communicator, "we have found something. A data beacon still active. It is located deep underground in a place called Greenland. The signal is faint but repeating. It appears to be from a military installation." Thane turned from the window, feeling a surge of hope for the first time in days. "Prepare the ship. We leave immediately," the hidden message. The facility was buried beneath 3 kilometers of ice in northern Greenland. The Stellar Dawn scanners had taken hours to map its full extent, revealing a complex that stretched for kilometers in every direction. Whatever the humans had built here, they had wanted it far from prying eyes. Thane and her team descended through a tunnel they had carved through the ice. At the bottom, they found a massive reinforced door with human writing across its surface. Vex translated a Project Horizon deep research station. "Maximum security clearance required." The door was unlocked. It slid open with a soft hiss, revealing corridors that stretched into darkness. Emergency lights flickered along the ceiling, casting everything in a dim blue glow. The team moved carefully through the facility, weapons ready, though they expected to find what they had found everywhere else: empty rooms and abandoned equipment. The installation was enormous. They passed through laboratories filled with advanced equipment, server rooms humming with active computers, living quarters that had been hastily abandoned, and storage areas containing supplies for hundreds of people. Everything suggested the facility had been operational until very recently. "Commander, you need to see this," called Science Officer Taryn from up ahead. She stood in a large room filled with holographic displays and computer terminals. The screen showed star charts, mathematical equations, and streams of data that Thane did not immediately recognize. "What am I looking at?" Thane asked, approaching the displays. Taryn's expression was grave. "The humans were tracking something. Look at these readings. They detected an anomaly approximately 4 months ago, some kind of energy phenomenon moving through space." She manipulated the controls, and a map of the galaxy appeared in the holographic display. A red wave stretched across hundreds of light years, moving slowly but inexorably toward the galactic core. "What kind of phenomenon?" Thane asked, though she felt she already knew the answer would not be good. "I am still analyzing their data, but Commander, look at the calculations. They predicted this wave would reach inhabited space within—" Taryn paused, checking the numbers again. "Within 53 days from their last recorded entry. That was 1 week ago." The bridge fell silent. 46 days. The galaxy had 46 days before this wave, whatever it was, reached the core worlds. "Keep searching," Thane ordered. "There must be more information. The humans did not just detect this and then vanish. They must have had a plan." The team spread through the facility, each member searching different sections. Lieutenant Vex found personal logs from the scientists who had worked here. Ensign Corral discovered encrypted files that would take days to decode. Taryn continued downloading research data. Thane found the command center in the heart of the installation. It was a circular room with a massive holographic projector in the center. Around it, dozens of computer stations sat silent and dark, but one terminal still glowed with active displays. She approached it carefully. The screen showed a communication interface with a message queued in the outbox, a message that had been sent 1 week ago on the day Earth went silent. Thane activated the playback. A hologram appeared in the air before her. A human man in a military uniform stood at attention. He had gray hair, tired eyes, and the bearing of someone who had carried an impossible burden. "To whoever finds this message," the man began, his voice steady and clear. "My name is General Marcus Webb, Director of Project Horizon. If you are watching this, then you have discovered that humanity is gone. I need you to understand why we left, and I need you to understand what is coming." Webb paused, and Thane saw pain flash across his face. 4 months ago, our deep space sensors detected an anomaly approaching from beyond the galactic rim. At first, we thought it was a measurement error. Then we thought it might be a natural cosmic event. But as we gathered more data, we realized the truth. What is approaching is not natural. It is a reality breakdown wave. Thane felt her blood turn cold. She had heard theoretical discussions about such things. Cosmic events so catastrophic, they could alter the fundamental laws of physics. "Our calculations show the wave will reach this sector in 52 days, Webb continued. "We spent weeks analyzing it, trying to find a way to stop it or deflect it. But this is not something that can be stopped. It propagates through space-time itself, rewriting the quantum structure of reality. Everything it touches ceases to exist, not destroyed but unmade, erased from existence at the most fundamental level." The general's voice remained steady, but his eyes revealed his anguish. "We realized we had a choice. We could announce this to the galaxy and watch as panic destroyed civilization before the wave ever arrived. Or we could try to save as many as possible while buying time for others to prepare. We chose the latter." Webb gestured off-screen, and the hologram shifted to show massive construction projects, enormous ships being built in hidden facilities, strange technology being assembled in secret locations throughout human space. "For the past 3 months, we have been implementing Protocol Exodus. We evacuated every human from every world. 42 billion people. We moved them in secret using every transport we had, every vessel we could build. We could not tell you because we knew the panic would spread faster than any evacuation could proceed. We knew that political conflicts would doom any coordinated response." The image returned to General Webb's face. His expression had hardened with determination. "We have left behind everything we learned about the wave. All our research, all our data, all our analysis. We have left detailed evacuation protocols and construction plans for the transport ships we used. And we have left one more thing. Webb leaned closer to the camera, his eyes intense. During our research, we found something. Evidence that this has happened before, billions of years ago. And we found evidence that some civilizations survived. We do not fully understand how yet, but we found spatial coordinates that lead to a region of space where reality is different, more stable, protected somehow from the wave's effects. Thane's hands were shaking as she watched. We are taking humanity there now, Webb said, to this safe zone beyond the galactic rim. We do not know if we will survive the journey. We do not know if the safe zone truly exists. But we had to try, and we left everything behind so that you could try too. The general stood straighter, his voice taking on a formal tone. To the Galactic Council and all the species we have called friends and neighbors, we are sorry we could not tell you. We are sorry we had to leave in silence, but we could not risk the chaos that would follow. We hope you will understand. We hope you will use what we have left you, and we hope against all odds that we will meet again on the other side of this catastrophe. Webb saluted the camera. Good luck, and goodbye. The message ended. The hologram faded. The terminal screen went dark. Thane stood in the silent command center, her mind reeling. 46 days. The galaxy had 46 days to evacuate billions of people to a location that might not even exist. Using technology they did not yet understand, all based on the desperate hope left behind by a species that had vanished into the unknown. She activated her communicator with trembling hands. All teams return to the ship immediately. We need to get this information to the Council right now, and someone find those construction plans for the transport ships. If humanity could evacuate 42 billion people in 3 months, then we need to figure out how they did it. As her team rushed back through the frozen corridors, Thane looked one last time at the dark terminal where General Webb's message had played. The humans had not abandoned the galaxy. They had given it a chance. They had sacrificed their secrecy, their safety, and perhaps their lives to leave behind a warning and a path to survival. Now it was up to the rest of the galaxy to follow that path before time ran out. The truth behind the Exodus unveiling. The cosmic horror, the Galactic Council chamber had never witnessed such chaos. Every seat was filled, and hundreds more representatives stood in the aisles, their voices rising in panic, anger, and disbelief. Ambassador Vrennick stood at the central podium, his crystalline form dim with exhaustion. He had not rested since Commander Thane's urgent transmission had reached Unity World 3 days ago. Silence. Vrennick's voice boomed through the translation systems, echoing off the chamber walls. We do not have time for arguments. We have 43 days. The chamber quieted, though fearful murmurs continued to ripple through the crowd. On the massive holographic display behind Vrennick's, the red wave stretched across the star map like a cosmic predator stalking its prey. Commander Thane stepped forward, her uniform still dusty from her expedition to Earth. The human data is clear and verified by our own scientists. What is approaching is a reality breakdown wave. It moves at approximately 3% of light speed, and it is expanding as it travels. When it reaches us, everything in its path will cease to exist at the quantum level. Representative Zolmar rose from his seat, his scaled hands gripping the armrests. How can you be certain the human data is accurate? Perhaps they were mistaken. Perhaps they panicked unnecessarily. Thane's expression hardened. Because we sent probe ships to the wave's leading edge. They confirmed everything. The wave is real. It is growing stronger, and it is coming directly toward the galactic core. We have also found something else in the human archives. She activated a new section of the display. Ancient star charts appeared, showing galactic formations from billions of years ago. Entire regions of space marked in red, vast empty zones where galaxies should have been but were not. This has happened before, Thane continued, her voice grave. Approximately 4 billion years ago, something similar occurred in the Andromeda cluster. Entire civilizations vanished. The humans found evidence in cosmic background radiation, in ancient debris patterns in the very structure of space-time itself. This is not a random event. This is a recurring cosmic phenomenon. The chamber erupted again. Species who had existed for millions of years, who had thought themselves ancient and wise, suddenly confronted the reality that they were children playing in a universe far more dangerous than they had imagined. Counselor Myrix floated to the center of the chamber, her energy form pulsing with urgency. "Did the humans find evidence of survivors? You said some civilizations survived. How?" Thane nodded, bringing up new data on the display. The human research team discovered anomalous readings in deep intergalactic space, energy signatures that do not match any known natural phenomenon. They found what appears to be a stable zone, a region where the quantum structure of reality is fundamentally different. The humans theorized that this zone might be protected from the wave's effects. "Where is this zone?" demanded Representative Kivor of the Mantran Collective. "Beyond the galactic rim," Thane replied, "approximately 40,000 light-years from the nearest inhabited system. The humans called it the Sanctuary Zone. They believed it was artificially created by an ancient civilization specifically to survive events like this." Science advisor Tellman, a being of pure thought who rarely spoke at council meetings, projected his voice through the chamber. "Commander Thane, you said the humans evacuated in secret. How did they transport 42 billion individuals across 40,000 light-years in just 3 months? Such a journey would take decades even with our fastest ships." Thane smiled grimly. "That is where the human gift becomes clear. They did not just leave us a warning. They left us the technology to survive. Humanity's desperate plan." The display changed again, showing technical schematics that made even the most advanced species in the chamber gasp in amazement. Massive gate structures, quantum tunneling devices, and dimensional fold engines filled the screen. "The humans developed something they called quantum transit gates," Thane explained. "They can create stable wormholes across vast distances, allowing instantaneous transport of thousands of individuals. The humans built 47 of these gates in secret across their territory and used them to evacuate their entire population in waves." Lieutenant Vex, who had accompanied Thane to the council, stepped forward. "We found the complete construction plans in the Project Horizon facility. The gates require enormous energy, but they are buildable with current galactic technology. The humans included detailed assembly instructions, material requirements, and even troubleshooting protocols." Representative Yorvin of the Krelix Federation stood, her multiple arms gesturing frantically. "How long would it take to build these gates?" "We have 43 days. According to human estimates, each gate requires approximately 21 days to construct if we dedicate maximum resources," Vex replied. "But they also left plans for a smaller, faster version that can be built in 14 days. These smaller gates cannot transport as many people, but they can be built in greater numbers." The chamber buzzed with calculation and debate. Every species was mentally tallying their population against the time required for evacuation. Vrenix raised his appendage again for silence. "We have more to consider. Even if we build these gates, we must coordinate the evacuation of over 600 billion beings from 47 different species across thousands of worlds. The logistics alone could doom us," Thane nodded. "The humans anticipated this. They left something else." She activated another section of the display and a new hologram appeared. It was a human woman with kind eyes and graying hair, wearing a simple scientific uniform. "Hello," the woman said, her voice translated into every language simultaneously. "My name is Dr. Sarah Chen, lead coordinator for Protocol Exodus. If you are watching this, then General Webb's message has been found, and you know what is coming. I want you to know that we did not leave you unprepared." Dr. Chen's hologram walked through what appeared to be a massive command center. Evacuating humanity was the most complex logistical operation in history. We had to move 42 billion people without causing panic, without collapsing our infrastructure, and without alerting the galaxy to what we were doing. It took 3 months of precise coordination. The hologram showed spreadsheets, charts, and timelines. "We have left you everything we learned. Complete evacuation protocols organized by species population size. Priority matrices for evacuating vulnerable populations first. Resource allocation formulas. Communication encryption methods to prevent panic. Even psychological management techniques for keeping populations calm during the exodus." Dr. Chen's expression became more intense. "We know you will face challenges we did not. You have 47 different species with different needs, different biologies, different cultural considerations. So we created adaptive protocols. The files we left contain algorithms that can customize evacuation plans based on your specific requirements." The hologram paused at a terminal, and data streamed across the screen behind her. "We also left you the coordinates for the Sanctuary Zone and detailed star charts for the journey." The route is not easy. You will need to pass through dangerous regions of space, but we mapped safe corridors and marked hazards along the way. Dr. Chen turned back to face the camera, her eyes bright with unshed tears. We are sorry we could not stay to help. We are sorry we had to leave in silence, but please understand that we did everything we could to give you a chance. Use what we have left you. Save your people, and if you make it to the sanctuary zone, look for us. We will be waiting. The hologram faded. The chamber remained silent for a long moment, the weight of humanity's gift settling over everyone present. Finally, Counselor Myrick spoke, her voice carrying across the chamber. The humans gave us more than technology and data. They gave us hope. They proved that survival is possible. Now we must prove ourselves worthy of their gift. The galaxy's race against time. Over the next 5 days, the galaxy transformed. Every species set aside centuries of political disputes, territorial arguments, and cultural differences. Survival overrode everything else. Ambassador Vrenix established the Emergency Coordination Center on Unity World. Representatives from every species worked together around the clock, translating human protocols into actions, coordinating resources, and managing the largest construction project in galactic history. The Corthan Collective, masters of energy manipulation, took charge of building the quantum-powered generators needed for the transit gates. The Threndix Empire, with their expertise in large-scale construction, organized the physical assembly of the gate structures. The Mantran Collective contributed their advanced computing systems to manage the evacuation logistics. The Verdanian Exploration Corps mapped the route to the sanctuary zone. Every species contributed what they did best. Construction sites appeared on 47 worlds simultaneously. Massive gate structures began rising from planetary surfaces, their frameworks reaching toward the stars. Thousands of workers from dozens of species labored together, following the detailed instructions humanity had left behind. Commander Thane took charge of the evacuation planning. She studied the human protocols obsessively, adapting them to the galaxy's needs. The humans had organized their exodus by population density and travel distance. Thane modified this to account for species biology, creating priority tiers that ensured everyone had a fair chance at survival. The most vulnerable populations would go first, species with short lifespans, those with specific environmental needs, worlds closest to the wave's approach. Then would come the general population in carefully managed waves. Finally, volunteers would remain behind to operate the gates until the last possible moment. On day 12, the first gate became operational on the world of Threndia Prime. Thousands gathered to watch as the massive structure powered up, its quantum coils glowing with contained energy. When the gate activated, space itself seemed to fold, creating a shimmering portal to the sanctuary zone 40,000 light-years away. The first transport ship entered the gate. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship simply vanished, crossing impossible distance in an instant. Seconds later, a signal came back through the gate. Successful transit. The ship had arrived at the sanctuary zone intact. The galaxy erupted in celebration. It was possible. Humanity's gift worked, but celebration quickly turned back to urgency. 43 days had become 31. The wave was approaching faster than initial calculations had predicted, growing stronger as it consumed more spacetime. More gates came online. By day 20, 17 gates were operational. By day 25, 33 gates were running constantly, transporting millions of beings per hour. The galaxy had become a river of refugees, flowing toward the promise of safety. Not everything went smoothly. Some species panicked and tried to jump the evacuation queues. Others refused to leave their homeworlds, unable to accept that everything they had built was doomed. Some gate constructions failed, forcing emergency repairs and delays. Political tensions flared when resources ran short, but each time crisis threatened to derail the effort, someone would invoke humanity's sacrifice. The species that had left behind everything to save strangers. The people who had given the galaxy its only chance. Whenever arguments erupted, someone would play General Webb's message or Dr. Chen's protocols, reminding everyone what was at stake. Lieutenant Vex discovered something remarkable in the human files on day 27. A personal message archive, thousands of recordings from humans explaining their decision to evacuate in silence. One message stood out. A young human woman sitting in what appeared to be a small apartment. My name is Emma Rodriguez, she said, her eyes red from crying. I am a teacher. I had 43 students who trusted me to tell them the truth. But I had to lie to them. I had to tell them we were just going on a special field trip while we evacuated. I had to smile and pretend everything was fine while knowing we might never see home again. Emma wiped her eyes. I am making this recording for whoever comes after. I want you to know that leaving in silence was the hardest thing we ever did. Every human had to lie to someone they cared about in the other species. We had friends, colleagues, lovers who were not human. We had to leave them without explanation. It broke our hearts. She leaned closer to the camera, but we did it because we knew that telling the truth would cause panic that would kill more people than the wave ever could. We did it because someone had to make the hard choice, and we did it because we hoped that our sacrifice would give you time to prepare. Please do not let our choice be meaningless. Please survive. Please remember us not as the species that abandoned you, but as the species that loved you enough to break our own hearts to save yours. The message ended. Bex played it for the council, and there was not a dry eye in the chamber regardless of species biology. Hope in the darkness on day 38, with just 5 days remaining, the last major gate came online. All 47 gates were now operational, running at maximum capacity. The galaxy was evacuating at a rate of 20 million beings per hour, but it was not enough. The calculations showed that at least 15% of the galactic population would not make it through in time. 60 billion beings would be left behind when the wave arrived. The council debated sacrifices. Which species should be prioritized? Which world should be abandoned first? The arguments grew heated until Ambassador Vrenix collapsed at his podium, exhausted beyond his body's limits. Commander Thane caught him before he fell. As medical personnel rushed forward, she looked out at the council chamber, at the desperate faces of species that had run out of time and options. There is another way, she said quietly. The chamber focused on her. The humans left one more gift that we have not used. In the deepest archives of Project Horizon, they left prototype plans for what they called emergency expansion gates, temporary portals that can be built in 72 hours, but only last for a few hours before collapsing. They are dangerous and unstable, but they can move vast numbers quickly. Science Advisor Tellman projected his concern. The energy requirements would be enormous. Building these emergency gates would drain power from the primary gates. We would be gambling everything on untested technology. Thane nodded. Yes, but the alternative is leaving 60 billion people to die. The humans took a gamble when they fled to a sanctuary zone they were not sure existed. I think we owe it to them and to ourselves to take one more risk. The vote was unanimous. Every species agreed to build the emergency gates. The next 72 hours became a blur of frantic construction. Engineers from every species worked without sleep, assembling the emergency gate structures on 12 additional worlds. Power was diverted from non-essential systems across the entire galaxy, causing blackouts and infrastructure failures, but no one complained. On day 41, with 36 hours remaining, the emergency gates activated. They were crude compared to the primary gates, their portals flickering and unstable, but they worked. The evacuation rate tripled, then came the unexpected miracle. On day 42, with just 18 hours remaining before the wave's arrival, every gate in the galaxy received a transmission. The signal was strong, clear, and came from the sanctuary zone itself. General Webb's face appeared on every screen. But he looked different now, younger somehow, with hope in his eyes instead of exhaustion. To the Galactic Council and all the species following our path, Webb said with a genuine smile, "This is General Marcus Webb of the Human Colonial Fleet. We made it. The sanctuary zone is real, and it is beyond anything we imagined." The hologram shifted, showing a view that took everyone's breath away. A vast region of space where stars glowed with strange colors, where nebulae formed impossible patterns, where the very fabric of reality seemed more vibrant and alive. "This is not just a refuge," Webb continued. "It is a whole new region of existence, created billions of years ago by a civilization far more advanced than we can comprehend. They built this as a sanctuary from the reality waves that periodically sweep through normal space. And they built it large enough for everyone." The view changed again, showing massive structures floating in space, cities built on scales that dwarfed entire planets, forests growing in zero gravity, oceans suspended in energy fields. And among it all, Humans working alongside beings from species the galaxy had never encountered. Ancient refugees from previous waves who had found sanctuary here long ago. We have made contact with the original builders' descendants, Webb said. They call themselves the Preservers, and they have been waiting for this wave, waiting for new refugees to arrive. They have prepared space for all of you. You will not be homeless. You will not be lost. You will be welcomed. Dr. Chen appeared beside Webb in the hologram, her face radiant with joy. We are transmitting enhanced gate coordinates now. The Preservers have activated guidance beacons that will make the final transit safer and faster. You are going to make it. All of you. The transmission ended, but the hope it carried spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Species that had been preparing for final goodbyes suddenly found renewed strength. Evacuation crews that had been working past exhaustion found second winds. Beings that had accepted death found reasons to keep fighting. The last 18 hours became a symphony of organized chaos. Every gate ran at maximum capacity. The emergency gates, despite their instability, held long enough to transport the final waves of refugees. Volunteers who had planned to stay behind were dragged through portals by their friends and colleagues. No one willing to leave anyone to die alone. Commander Thane was among the last to leave, standing at the final gate on Unity World as the reality wave approached. She could see it now on the sensors, a wall of unreality consuming space itself, turning stars to nothing, erasing entire systems from existence. "Commander, we must go now," Lieutenant Vex shouted, pulling her toward the portal. Thane took one last look at the galaxy she had known all her life. Then she turned and stepped through the gate. The transit was instantaneous. One moment she stood on Unity World watching death approach. The next she emerged into the sanctuary zone, surrounded by impossible beauty and the cheers of billions of beings who had survived. Humanity had been waiting at the arrival gates. They greeted every refugee with open arms, with food and water, with medical care and comfort. They had prepared shelters, organized resources, coordinated with the Preservers to ensure everyone had what they needed. Emma Rodriguez, the teacher who had recorded the message about lying to protect others, stood at one of the human greeting stations. She embraced a Threndix child whose family had just arrived, tears streaming down both their faces. "You kept your promise," the child said. "You came back for us." "We said we would," Emma replied softly. Humans keep their promises. Ambassador Vrenix found Commander Thane in the crowd. His crystalline form glowed bright with relief and gratitude. "We made it. Every species, 604 billion beings. The humans saved us all." Thane looked across the sanctuary zone, at the impossible structures, at the ancient beings who had survived previous waves, at the humans who had risked everything to leave a warning and a path to survival. "No," she said quietly, "we saved each other. That is what it means to be part of a galactic community. We survive together or not at all." In the distance, through the strange dimensional barriers that protected the sanctuary zone, they could see the reality wave passing through normal space. It consumed the galaxy they had abandoned, erasing billions of years of history and moments. But here in the sanctuary, life continued. Civilizations that should have ended found new beginnings, and at the center of it all, humanity stood not as saviors or heroes, but as equals. They had given the galaxy the gift of survival, and the galaxy had proven worthy of that gift by refusing to leave anyone behind. General Webb stood with Dr. Chen, watching the last refugees settle into their new home. "Do you think they will forgive us?" he asked quietly. "For leaving in silence?" Chen smiled, watching Emma comfort the Threndix child. "They already have. They understand now why we had to do it. And more importantly, they understand that sometimes the hardest choices are the most loving ones." The galaxy had gone silent when Earth disappeared, and in that silence they had heard the loudest message humanity could send. Even in the face of extinction, even when all seems lost, there is always hope. You just have to be brave enough to reach for it. And together, 47 species had reached for that hope and found salvation in the darkness between the stars.